Our next speaker is Pablo Musa. He's educational engineering for Elastic. So let's welcome him to join me. Welcome to Pablo. If it works.
Let's hope. Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much for the invitation from Databeers, from Jay on the Beach. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk about popular is different to significant. And I'm going to try to explain when we do data analysis, things that you should be careful with. So, yes, my name is Pablo. I have a master's in computer science. I've been working with Hadoop for the past years and also with Elastic for the last 3 years. And my talk will come at some point. The idea here about the talk is many times you want to look into your data and you want to see recommendations. You want to find information to tell your marketing team if you should focus a campaign in one city or in another city. How should we target announcements? How should we target sales when we do some business together? So another option when you're looking into data is trying to do recommendations. So when you go into Netflix and you watch a movie, you want to, you can go. So when you go into Netflix and you watch a movie, you want to, Netflix want to recommend you the next movie you're going to watch. So because you watched that, you should look into that movie. And sometimes if you don't do the analysis correctly, you would be recommending not the correct thing or not the best movie to people. So can I get the slides? It didn't work? Okay, so you can keep going. One of the things you might be asking, the idea of the movies was Mar Adentro. You can keep going. Go, go, go. Probably slide 8. Alberto, slide 8. I don't know. Go, 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 go. Be careful, do the analysis correctly. It was just a joke. Be careful with what common. Common means as you get common things, you may not be looking into the correct thing that you really want to look. It's just what's popular. And sometimes what's popular might trick you. So if we go to the... Yes. If we get information about cars in the UK, and you basically look, okay, let's look into colors over cities. And you see that the most 3 popular cities, it doesn't matter which color it is, it's going to be London, Birmingham, and Sheffield. So from the data set, those are the 3 most popular cities that you have. It doesn't mean that people in London like more blue cars than people in any other city. It just means that Londoners, like you have a big population in London. So of course you're going to have more blue cars in London, but because of the population, not because people there like blue cars. So if we start looking for the signal, and instead of doing just an aggregation or a group by in terms of account, and you actually look into connections of the data, you see that the significant, next one, you see that, you can keep going, next one. You see that the top significant cities is actually very different. So instead of just looking into the count and the most popular, we are going to look into the signal. So you see that now we have Bristol, Portsmouth, and Guildford. It's a completely different result with the same data set. And now we would like to maybe target blue announcements into Bristol instead of in London, because people there tend to like more blue cars than people in London. It's getting more interesting. So I watched Mar Adentro, and what should Netflix recommend me? If I get here, everyone that watched Mar Adentro, and I just get all the other movies that those people watched, and then I do a group by to see what are the most popular movies based on those people, the result will be Pulp Fiction, Amélie Poulain, and Shawshank Redemption. And even though those are nice movies and I probably want to see them, they are not necessarily related to Mar Adentro. They are just popular movies because almost everyone watches them. So if we change to the significant analysis instead of actually the popular one, what you get as a result is, hello, Talk to Her, Volver, and the Motorcycle Diaries. And those are probably much more related to the group, to the niche that we are looking for. This is what's significant to people that watch it Mar Adentro more than actually to the background data set. So the way we do that, next one, is we get the foreground data set. What is the foreground data set? It's people that watch it Mar Adentro, okay? And we compare that to the background data set. And the background data set is everyone else. So if you do that comparison and you actually calculate the proportion between those two groups, you can come up with a score. And you can come up with what is significant instead of just what is popular. And here you can see that when you execute that in Elasticsearch, you get back this information. Next one. This is another way to visualize the data. And here it makes very clear that even though Pulp Fiction is a big circle because a lot of people watch them, actually the intersection between those two, if you compare the background and the foreground data set, it's going to give importance to Talk to Her, Volver, and Motorcycle. Next one. We can do the same analysis comparing bands. So here I used Meccano and the graph visualization in the Elastic Stack. And you can see that connections from Meccano go to the Beatles, Coldplay, Madonna, and Shakira. And I'm sure they are all very nice music, but that's probably not what you're looking for. There is one over there, La Oreja de Van Gogh, that's probably very important to Meccano. So again, if we change to the significant link instead of just the popular, we then get a much better result, I imagine. I don't know Meccano, I listen to a few musics, but yeah, then you get Amaral, Miguel Bosé, Ela Baila Sola, and a few others. So this is a way of finding significant connections, significant links, important things, interesting things, not just popular things. Next one. There is something called the Coldplay effect, which is, it doesn't matter if you're looking for the significant links, if you're actually looking for a group of things, you might get biased results again. So instead of just Meccano, I'm now looking for Meccano, Amaral, Pereza, and Coldplay. And because of Coldplay, and Coldplay is probably one of the most popular bands in the entire world, even though you don't believe that, that's true based on data. You see that because of Coldplay, all the connections we get are Oasis, The Fray, U2, things related to Coldplay. And all the other bands are just far away. So there is another thing we can do with the data is we can sample the data. Instead of getting all the results from people that like all the 4 bands, we can actually just get the top 500 results or the top 1,000 results. And that means that we are discarding away people that just like Coldplay or just Coldplay and Pereza, but we are focusing on the signal, on people that like most of them. And then the result, next one. It's going to be very different. And then it goes back into actually the bands that we are probably looking for. So if you have a business like Deezer or Spotify, you probably want to do this recommendation as the next album or the next band and not the other one. Going down? Probably too small for here. I didn't know that the setup was going to be this and not having a clicker. But this is another way of visualizing this Coldplay effect. So if you just compare the percentage of terms in the foreground data set with terms in the background data set, you get a linear line in 45 degrees. That means in a random sample, it is exactly the same thing as all the data. But if we search for Meccano, you then see the signal here. It's actually very close to the foreground data set and not so close to the background data set. Next. And then last one, going back to the Coldplay example. If I look into Coldplay here, Coldplay gets the signal that was here in the foreground data set and actually shifts it back to the linear line. It's basically like Coldplay giving you back Radiohead. So if we actually, that one, yeah. So if we actually get a sample of 500, which is the top 500, the interesting, the signal part, you now see the signal again going back into the foreground data set. So this is another way of visualizing data. Feel free to come to the booth of Elastic tomorrow. I can show it live. We can play with the data and search for different movies and also bands. Next one. Yeah, this is the signal, the noise. You can keep going. Go. There is some reference as well. And the last one. Yeah, and I'll be doing a talk tomorrow at 4:30, talking more about the Elastic Stack and the Elasticsearch, but that's going to be much more focused on the logs part than the analytics one. Okay, so thank you very much for coming. Hope it was useful, and feel free to ask questions later.